What are the time limits I have to pursue a personal injury claim or to file a personal injury lawsuit? Well, the answer is it depends on the state. Most states allow you at least 2 years. Sometimes some states have really gross tort reform, like Iowa and some other places, and you have to do it within a year. And I can take you through some different states and some different circumstances. For Illinois, it's 2 years for an auto case, 2 years for a medical malpractice case. But if you have an underinsured claim, you have to notify the underinsured motorist carrier within a year. Many times in Illinois, you have mandatory arbitration for uninsured and underinsured motorist carriers. And sometimes in those policies, they have 1 year limitations period in the contracts that are enforced by law. But for everything else, it's usually 2 years in Illinois, and that's to file a claim. Now, sometimes there are some circumstances in medical malpractice cases where the time limit is tolled or delayed if you have continuous care from the same doctor. Sometimes it's not. So make sure you go to the doctor, you go to the lawyer real quick to start pursuing and investigating your claim. The other thing is don't wait for a year or 2 years to the end of the statute of limitations. Witnesses go away, their memory fades. You can't take recorded statements. You can't get pictures of the skid marks. You can't go take a picture of the hole in the ground or the ice on the ground or get the weather data or all kinds of stuff because conditions change. You want to act quickly. Lawyers like me love to get cases early so we can go get the evidence. We can take the recorded statements, go out and take pictures. I went to an accident scene on Saturday last. I was down in rural Missouri and I went to the scene and took a bunch of pictures. And I jumped on it, and we like that. In Missouri, your limitations times. In Missouri, you have 5 years for a personal injury case. However, you only have 2 years for a medical malpractice case. However, you have 3 years for a wrongful death case. So those are all different time periods. So if you die as a result, if you or a family member or loved one dies as a result of a truck crash or auto crash or motorcycle crash or premises liability case, you have 3 years for the representative to file the case. Who is the representative? Basically, it's the parents or the kids. And then the second level is the sisters and brothers. In a personal injury case where the person doesn't die, you have 5 years. But don't wait, as I said before. In a medical malpractice case, you have 2 years from the negligence or 3 years if that negligence resulted in death. However, don't wait for the 3 years because many times, medical malpractice cases become a question of causation. And did the negligence of the doctor, the nurse, or the health provider cause the death, or did they just contribute to the lost chance of survival from a condition? So if you don't diagnose cancer, does that kill him? Yes. Kill the patient? Yes. But the patient probably had a chance of dying anyway. The same is true with infection or some other medical conditions, not all. And that's a medical causation question. We go to doctors and experts to try to figure that stuff out and make sure that the medical testimony is going to support our opinion on that and what we view of that be the case. But regardless, you want to do within the 2 year statute of limitations and not wait for the 3 year. But also sometimes in Missouri, like in Illinois, the time limitation to file a lawsuit is told while you're under continuous care for the same doctor. So if a doctor does a surgery on you and continues to treat you 6 months thereafter, the time should begin to run after that continuous care ended. But again, don't wait. Don't rest on your laurels. You want to pursue those claims. Workers' compensation. The time limit to file a workers' compensation claim in both Missouri and Illinois is 2 years. In Missouri, if the employer does not file a report of injury, that time is extended to 3 years. But again, don't wait because you want to pursue those claims right away. You want to begin the claim process, do that so we can start recording, taking depositions, getting the evidence we need. In workers' compensation cases, we want to get the medical records. We want to get the 13-week wage statement. We want to verify the employer and the insurer. You never know whether your employer, they may say you have insurance, but they don't, etc. The other thing is that on all these claims, and it's not just telling you to jump on the case and get a lawyer right away because I want the business. I got a lot of business, but I do want business. I'd love to represent you, but that's not the point. This isn't a trick. Insurance evidence goes away and dies and leaves, and you can't get it anymore. And secondly, insurance companies think that if you sit around and don't do anything on a claim for a year and a half or 2 years, they close their books. They don't set any reserves, and it's a lot harder to get them to pay. If you're vigorous, if you're jumping on the case right away, get representation, start pursuing it, make your claim, and then hire a lawyer. They think, oh man, this is a real case. We better set some reserves in that. So I've had many cases come down the road from a lawyer or from a client or something where it's really hard to get people believing in the case if everything sat around for a while. So you want to aggressively do those. So that's a little video on the statute of limitations of Missouri and Illinois. Federal Tort Claims Act is 2 years. There are other federal or other state limitations periods. Whenever we get cases in other states, and we're sometimes requests are asked to help folks in other states and asked to come into cases after they're filed as well, we immediately research and assess the limitations period in the different states. It's a knowledge requirement. When should you have known about your claim? Thank you.